Hey guys, welcome back. Got a big box here from CGC. I think there's 21 books in here, all vintage. So obviously there's going to be some X-Men books. But we'll go through this. I'll tell you a little bit about the books that's in it, and we'll go through each one by one. Stick around. Alright guys, just a reminder. Still got the X-Men 1 Special Collector's Edition CGC 9.8 white pages. All you got to do to be entered is leave a comment below. Be a subscriber and you're entered for a chance to win. We're going to go through this a lot. There's 21 books in here. As always with most of my vintage stuff, there's always some X-Men stuff. So I apologize if you're not into that. Maybe skip ahead. We'll just go one by one. And hopefully it won't just be X-Men, X-Men, X-Men. Hopefully there'll be some breaks in it. So I am hoping, the last couple submissions I've done, I've gotten quite a few. Well, not quite a few, but I've had almost every submission either had a purple or green. So hopefully we're going to be all blue this submission. So first book up, X-Men 37. Again, nothing big here, not a big key. The goal on all of these X-Men books from the 60s, I'm trying to stay in the 6.0 or better, unless it's a key. So anything above 6.0 or better is good. Obviously the higher the better. So first book up, 6.5, off-white to white pages. Pretty happy with that. It is the first appearance of Mutant Master, but other than that, not much. It's really not a significant key. But it is from the early or mid-60s, so X-Men 37 from 1967, 6.5, off-white to white pages. Happy with that. I don't see any purple or green at a glance, so let's hope we don't have any. Next up, look at that, X-Men. Shocker, huh? X-Men number 36. So this is the book right before this, also from 1967. 7.5 white pages. So white pages are always good on these books. It's hard to get white pages from books from the 60s just because the paper faded. So white pages is really good. 7.5 is good. This is the first appearance of Meccano. Again, not really a key. Meccano's not really a big character, but this is his first appearance. So again, happy to add it to the X-Men run. All right, hopefully we'll have a break from the X-Men, give you guys something a little different. Nope, X-Men 38. So we're staying right in that same run. We had 36, 37, now here's 38. Also from 1967. 7.0 white pages. Again, happy with the white pages for sure. 7.0 also good. Pretty much a non-key here. Just a X-Men story from the 60s. The X-Men actually weren't that popular in the 60s. They started doing reprints, I think, around issue 65 until issue 94, just because they had low sales. They weren't selling as good as like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. But when the new team came out in 94, it was one of the best-selling comic books of all time, and continued that run for 30 years. Next up, here we go. A little break from the X-Men. This is Fantastic Four number 46. See what we got. 4.5 off-white to white pages. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is the first full appearance of Black Bolt. They did do a Marvel show with the Inhumans, and it was really not that good. Yeah, he was in Doctor Strange as well. If you're not familiar, he's the one who, when he talks, it's so loud it just kills people when they seal his mouth and his head blows up. So that's Black Bolt. This, I didn't expect much higher than this. It's got a lot of chipping and ticks and all kinds of stuff around the top. It's really rough. So 4.5 is actually pretty good. Off-white to white pages also. I'm pretty happy with that. Decent book. It's a good Fantastic Four key. 2 issues later, first Galactus, a little bit bigger Fantastic Four key. That book is not in here. I do have one. It's just not in this lot. All right, next up, Incredible Hulk 182. So this is either the second or the third appearance of Wolverine, depending on how you gauge it. We've talked about this in the past. He makes an appearance on the first page or 2, and then that's it. It is also, I believe, the first appearance of Hammer and Anvil. So 7.0 off-white pages. So yeah, first appearance of Hammer and Anvil. First appearance and death of Crackerjack. And there's a Wolverine cameo on the first page. So not a big high value book, but again, it is an early Wolverine appearance. So again, not a huge value book, but it's important as far as the Wolverine goes. And again, I'm an X-Men guy, so Wolverine's kind of part of the X-Men. All right, next up, Hopefully something good. All right, some DC action. You don't see a lot of DC action from me, so we'll go through this. This is Brave and the Bold 57. I don't expect a super high grade on this. This has a pretty obvious subscription crease on the back of it where it color breaks all the way down. So I'm going to guess it's in the 4 to 5 range, and we are 4.5 off-white pages. So yeah, that's pretty good. This is the first appearance of Metamorpho. It's also the first appearance of Sapphire Stag, pretty non-character. Metamorpho is a little bit bigger of a character. I would imagine that the notes do say something about the subscription crease. You're probably not going to be able to see it. You might be able to see it a little bit. It goes right down the middle. You can see it on the back. You can't really see it on the front. There is a little bit of roughness on the top of the front, right where that crease would have been too. So what would happen back in the day, when you get a comic book in the mail and a subscription, they fold it in half. Usually had like a sleeve of paper around it, I think, with like the mail too and all that. So a kid would get it to be folded in half. They'd take the little band off and open it up and read it, and then stick it in their back pocket and fold it back. So Brave and the Bold 57, first appearance of Metamorpho. This is a decent key from a DC standpoint. Like I said, I'm not a huge DC guy, but I got a good deal on that book, so I thought I'd send it in and get it graded, and I'm happy with the grade. All right, next up, Avengers number 4. Not the good Avengers number 4. This is actually a Golden Record reprint. Still a really good book to have in a decent grade. I think I was hoping for like a 6.0 on this. So, you know, these books have no ads in them. They were put out with the Golden Records. We went through a couple of those in the past here. You know, it completely reprints the story, but the only ads on it are for the Golden Records and the different records that they sell. So we got 6.5 off-white pages. So that's pretty good. Like I said, I was hoping in the 6.0 range for that. You know, I love the cover art. The only real difference on the cover of this one versus the original is this one doesn't have the price. The original had the 12-cent price. I believe it was right here. Also, like I said, I think there's like 2 less pages in this because it doesn't have all the ads. You can tell that, like I said, the easiest way if you're at a convention or you're at a store, you're going to buy this, make sure it's got that 12-cent circle on it, because if it doesn't have it, it's not the original. And then the back's different. So the back of the Golden Records reprint has the Golden Record ad on it. The back of the original one has the guy that's like painting up here in the corner. So if you've seen any books from the 60s, it's a pretty common back for a 60s comic book. So Golden Record back on any comic book is always a Golden Record reprint. So again, decent value book. Not obviously as valuable as the original, but still pretty good. Definitely not going to complain. 6.5 is pretty good grade. All right, next up, Batman 181. So this is nice to have in a blue label because there are so many that do not have a blue label. So let's see what we got. 5.5 off-white pages. Pretty good on this. First appearance of Poison Ivy. There's a pin-up in the middle of this of Batman and Robin, I believe. And it's the centerfold, and a lot of kids took those out and put them on their wall. So I have a couple of these that have the green label because it's missing the centerfold. They didn't actually note it, and it's not a huge deal, but it does have the 10 pence stamp on it. So technically this is the UK version, but they don't really classify the UK versions unless they say like the 10 pence here, or the 6 pence, or 9 pence, whatever the book might have been. So first appearance of Poison Ivy, pretty good key again for a Batman collector, and very hard to get this book in higher grades. The cover just did not age well. A lot of the covers you see, they have a lot of like yellow dots on them. A lot of spine ticks. A lot of kids opened these up and took that centerfold out, which also hurts the grade. I'm not unhappy at all with this grade. It's got a couple ticks on the back where the chunks are missing. It's got some color scuffing there in the red where you can see some yellow. So all in all, again, pretty happy. 5.5 off-white pages. First appearance of Poison Ivy. It's a pretty solid key. Like I said, especially if you're the Batman, it's really it's a good book. It always moves. All right, back to the X-Men. So we're back into the single digit. I have a green one of these. It's missing an ad cut out of it. I'm happy to have a blue label of issue 9. I'll probably be selling the green label. I think it's like a 7.0, but again, it's a green label, so not really desirable. So 6.0 off-white pages. Yeah, again, not real upset about that. It's got a real bad shadow, like dust shadow on it. What happens is they would stack a book on top of it, and it would catch a lot of the light. A lot of the dirt and dust would get like baked into the cover. Not much you can do about that from a cleaning, pressing standpoint. Other than that, though, the cover's really good. It's a little bit yellowed. There's also some dust shadows along the back. So 6.0 is pretty good grade for this. And again, for me, it's better than my 7.0 green label. So this will take that position, and I'll be moving that book on. Oh, it is the first time that the X-Men meet the Avengers too. So that's kind of an important key, especially if the X-Men and the Avengers meet in the MCU, which I would imagine at some point they will. Might not be the original Avengers that we know, but it will be some version of the Avengers. So sorry, these are kind of tipped over. They got those weird bags again. All right, more X-Men. X-Men number 30. Again, not really a key, just filling holes. So 7.0 white pages. Again, white pages pretty nice. Actually, no notes at all on this, so that's rare for a 60s book. Usually at least tell you like what's going on in the story, who's in it, whatever. Not on this one. So 7.0 white pages, pretty happy with that. Again, I don't have this book graded. I do now because I got this one, but I did not have it graded prior to that. Really bright colors on that book too. It's a really good looking book. All right, next up, Avengers number 9. So this is a pretty low grade. This is the first appearance of Wonder Man. Again, I don't expect a very high grade on this at all, just because it's pretty beat up. 3.0 off-white pages, yeah, I think that's not bad. You can see on this one, I'm sure you might be able to see in the picture, there is a very bad subscription crease here, but it's also got tape behind it. So you can see kind of where the tape has bled through. So that it got a 3.0 and not like a 2.0 or 2.5 is pretty good. The cover's also faded pretty good. So it is the first appearance of Wonder Man, who they did have a TV show announced for. I don't know if that's still greenlit or not. But again, it's a pretty good key, Avengers key for sure. Wonder Man, I mean, he's kind of a crappy character if I'm being honest. But you know, as far as the Avengers go, he was pretty important, especially in the 60s. So 3.0. Off-white pages. I knew it wasn't a high grade. Still a decent value book. All right, next up, Avengers number 8. So this book has tanked recently. So this book was probably twice the value it is now. A year and a half, 2 years ago. You know, it's the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror, and with all the Jonathan Major stuff that's happened, it's really lost its value. You know, Marvel's kind of went a completely different direction with what they're doing with the Avengers, but regardless of all that, this is still really a major key. Kang is around forever in the Avengers. Like, he's one of the major villains that the Avengers fight all through into the 100s and the different versions of Kang. It's still a good book. It will recover. You know, I would say this is a buy now book. Definitely, if you can pick one of these up at a good price now, buy it, because it's going to recover. It's just in a slump right now because of the movie stuff. So 4.5 off-white pages. Not upset with that, mainly because it has a ton of spine damage. It's got some splits. It almost looks like somebody rubbed sandpaper across it. It's really bad. It presents beautifully. I mean, it really looks nice straight on. But when you look at it up close, like I said, this edge is really rough. Nothing you can do about that. So again, first appearance, Kang the Conqueror, 4.5 off-white pages. Still a good value book. Still a good, decent price. But definitely, if you're a buyer, now is the time to buy it. It's not going to continue to drop. I think we've kind of seen it hit the bottom, and it's going to start coming back up. All right, next up, Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 1. So this is Nick Fury's first solo book. Again, I thought this was just a good looking book. It was really a clean copy, so we'll see what we got. Ooh, 5.5 white pages. So that's not what I was expecting. I would definitely not have sent that in had I thought it was going to get a 5.5. Yeah, I don't know, man, but looking at it, I'd say it's a fair grade. Maybe I was just rushing when I was trying to get these in, because there's definitely some ticks and chipping along the top. There's some pretty significant spine ticks. I would say, if anything, looking at it up close now, it's probably a little... It doesn't look quite as good as a 5.5, so it's definitely got a miswrap too. You can see it doesn't, the cover doesn't come all the way out to the pages. That's just a miswrap. They don't really ding you for that. You know, the quality of the printing presses and the machines that assembled this in 1960s isn't nearly as efficient and precise as the stuff they use now. So you'd get that occasionally. You get miscuts where you'd see the bottom of the next book. It'd have the bottom on the top and a little bit of the top of one on the bottom. I mean, I guess, like I said, looking at it, I'm not too upset now that I've seen it. I see it up close, but I was, yeah, I'm not sure why I had this graded, to be honest with you. I must have just mislooked at it when I sent it in. Probably rushing. All right, looks like we got a few left here. Keep on plugging along. I'm sure there's some more X-Men in here. So 36. So this is a pretty good looking book. I'm going to be really surprised if this doesn't have a good grade. So let's just get straight to it. Yeah, 8.5 off-white to white pages. So yeah, this book is just really clean. It's got some very like minor obvious, like there's a little, looks like somebody took their finger and just ripped across the edge. But other than that, the spine is perfect. The back is crisp. This is the first appearance of the Frightful Four and the first appearance of Medusa. So again, from a Fantastic Four standpoint, this is a pretty good key. This is a pretty good value book. Medusa, who becomes one of the Inhumans there. Also, pretty big character. You know, they got their own book for a while. Inhumans, they were in some Amazing Adventures books as well. So yeah, 8.5 off-white to white pages. I'm really happy with that. I don't think I thought it would get that high a grade. It's really hard to gauge sometimes on these 60s books on what they're going to ding you for, because they just look different. You know, the paper is different, the quality's different. It's harder to pick out, you know, how hard they're going to ding certain things. So I got the Sandman there on the cover too. So really good looking book. 8.5 off-white to white pages. I will take it. Hopefully the Inhumans come back. There are some decent characters in the Inhumans. They just dropped the ball with that show, which Fox did a lot of. So Journey into Mystery 114. If you're not familiar with Thor's first appearance was Journey into Mystery 83. And then from 83 on until 125, I think, Journey into Mystery was just, they were all Thor stories. And then with 126, they titled it to Thor, and they just kept counting. So that series basically goes from Journey into Mystery 1 to Thor 400 something, and it's just continuous, because like I said, Journey to Mystery 125 is the last with the Journey to Mystery title, and then 126 it just continues the story, and it says Thor instead of Journey into Mystery. So see what we got here. 7.0 off-white to white pages. Not too bad. This is the first appearance of Absorbing Man. He's kind of a minor character. He can absorb powers, but again, these Journey into Mystery, for whatever reason, I have a hard time finding them in decent higher grades. I don't know if it just wasn't a popular comic, or they were just, you know, they didn't have as much sales, but a lot of these are just rough. This one was actually pretty good, which is why I had it graded. It is a first appearance, but it's a minor key, nothing crazy, but a decent value. You know, a 7.0 off-white to white pages. I'm not going to complain about that. So yeah, Journey into Mystery with the Mighty Thor. All right, come on, we gotta have some more X-Men in here, right? All right, Fantastic Four again, number 75. So this is the all red cover, I believe. This book is, I don't know, they did so many red covers in the 60s. I think I mentioned it before. I think maybe red ink was cheaper or was easier to print with or something, because there's a ton of covers that are just all red. This was probably a medium grade copy. I don't think it was, I was expecting anything crazy high, but I just really like this book. Yep, 7.0 off-white to white pages. So it's a cool Galactus cover. You see Galactus there and Silver Surfer. I do like the red. It's a clean copy. A lot of these have a lot of spine ticks, or you see a lot of color breaking in the red. Most of what this is probably getting dinged for is the staples have just the tiniest bit of rust. And there's, in the yellow up here, there's 3 or 4 really good spine ticks. And then the white you can see maybe showing here on the edge around the corner. And it's the same on the bottom. You got a little bit of white showing. But the meat of the cover, I mean, it's really sharp. A really good display book. It presents better than a 7.0, but I think a 7.0 is really a fair grade. But again, early Galactus and Silver Surfer appearance, and I don't know, I always like those red covers. All right, looks like we got some more DC action. So this is again Brave and the Bold 35. I got a lot of the Brave and the Bold books. I think I did a video about it. So these were out of that. This is Brave and Bold 35. 5.5 off-white pages. So this is the second appearance of the Silver Age Hawkman. I had this book when I was a kid. This is more nostalgia than anything. It was one of the first comic books I ever got when I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. And it was the first Golden or Silver Age book I ever owned. So not this specific copy, but I don't have it anymore, and I wanted to get another one. I always liked the cover, so I went and had it regraded. So this is Joe Kubert art, I think is how you say it. If you're not familiar with him, his sons were really big in Andy and Adam. They did a lot of stuff with the X-Men. But I always liked his artwork. He did a lot of the, like, Sergeant Fury and Our Army at War. A lot of the military books in the 60s and 50s. So I really like the cover. Not upset with the grade. It's got a really bad, I don't know if you can see it, there's a really bad paint stain on the top and the back of here. Beyond that, it actually looks pretty good. The corners are a little bit rounded, both here and here. And there's another little stain on the back right there. I'm guessing that's the bulk of the dings that I got. But 5.5, it's definitely not undergraded. That paint, I wish that paint wasn't there. I think if the paint wasn't there, it'd probably be in the 6.5, maybe even the 7.0 range. But that paint really, it's they don't ding you if it's just a little bit, but it's a lot. It's on every page. It bleeds in on every page. So again, not a major key. It's the second Silver Age Hawkman. Other than that, it's just more nostalgia for me than anything else. Yeah, none of these books are nothing. You know, they all have decent value. So some more DC. Batman 237. So let's see what we got. 7.0 off-white to white pages. This is some early Neal Adams artwork. I don't know if you can, like, he's got a pretty unique style. Neal Adams does. You can really usually pick out his stuff if you look at a bunch of books on a wall. I really like his stuff, especially his Batman stuff. He came up with some really cool logos for Batman. He kind of did, like, he kind of mimicked Bernie Wrightson's style with the Grim Reaper, and I think the combination is really good. This book has a lot of waviness to it. I tried to press it out and I just could not get it pressed out. I don't know what it was from. It was almost like the pages were thinner in spots. I know that's not what it was, but that's what it felt like. The only real prominence of this book is just the Neal Adams cover. And again, I love this cover. You can also see the red. You know, they use a lot of red there. Yeah, his stuff. I like Bernie Wrightson too. So, you know, that he kind of took Bernie Wrightson's style and kind of his look and made it his own. I do like that a lot. And like I said, I really love Neal Adams stuff, especially his Batman stuff. I think it's probably some of the more underrated stuff, especially in the 60s and 70s. So it looks like we're down to the last two. Next up, Fantastic Four 112. So I can tell you right now, this is going to get a big ding because someone wrote their name on the back of this in ink, and I expected it to get a hit for that. So 6.5 white pages. Yeah, so that's not too bad. You can see on the back there, Gerald. Damn Gerald, I don't know who he is, but he hurt this book a lot. Take that, I'm sure that's a big knock to this book. It does have some rounded corners, but the black is really vibrant and bright. This is a pretty classic Thing versus Hawk fight. The cover work is just great. It's John Buscema. It's a pretty classic cover, a really interesting early cover. The black makes this book impossible. It's just so hard to get in good grades. And I would think if you took Gerald's name off the back here, this goes up at least a point. Not a nothing book though. Even in a 6.5, the value's still pretty solid on a book like this. You know, I think the first time they fight or meet was like Fantastic Four 12, maybe, if I'm thinking right. But this is one of the more classic covers of just the two of them, silhouetted by the black. Really just a cool cover. Last book up, I think, if I can get it out of here. Hopefully it's a good one. Alright, last but not least, X-Men number 10. So this is the first Silver Age Ka-Zar, and Zabu is saber-toothed tiger. So I have a beautiful 6.0 in this. I mean, it looks fantastic, but it's got a purple label and says the cover's been cleaned. I bought it and just submitted it, and I didn't do any cleaning, so I'm guessing someone prior to me had cleaned it. I don't see it, but it is pretty bright and white, so that could be for sure cleaning. But it looks better than a 6.0. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. But this one is a blue label, so that's good. Hopefully we're above a 6.0. 7.0 off white to white pages. So pretty good there. Definitely happy to add this to the X-Men run. Probably a little better than I expected on this. It's got some very solid corner blunts on both these corners. And then you can see a little bit of tanning around the edges on the back. But 7.0 is pretty solid here. I'm not going to complain. Again, decent value in this book. I think that gives me everything from 2 to 10 now graded. Actually, 2 to 13 I think now I have graded. And I have a 13, it's not gradable. It's not good enough to grade. It'd be like a 3.5, 4.0. So yeah, X-Men number 10. Just keep filling in that run. If you haven't heard me say it before, my goal was to get the first 100 graded. I'm getting pretty far along. I'd say I probably got 40 or 50 of them graded now. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. I don't want to have a bunch graded that are like 2.5s and 3.5s. So I'm hoping, you know, like I said, my goal is to be above 6.0s. And the higher books, I want higher than that. So, yeah, so that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, again, I love vintage comics. These are all decent vintage books. Let me know if you have any suggestions or anything you didn't like about this. Definitely leave a comment below. Get entered for your chance to win the X-Men 1. And we'll see you guys next time. Again, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and hope you have a good one.